Hey, welcome to session 7 of TCCA 2020. Uh, this is our 10th year. We did do TCCA. We have been teching like pirates. We taught like pirates. We were teching to the future this way. And this year we focus on 2020 vision. With me as my co-host is Ms. Rivera, and she will check on the questions. They will go into the YouTube chat. And in the YouTube stream, I have Miss Yolanda Moore. She'll check on that everything is smooth over on the YouTube side. Okay. So this is the second last session for today. I'll give you the secret word before we conclude this session. That what you will need to get your certificate. And for now, it's my honor to introduce our presenter, Ms. Kimberly Abdul. And she will give us a kick how we can kick our classroom with Classkick. So we will be backstage, coming back at 2:40. So with any further ado, Ms. Abdul, the stage is all yours. Go take it away.
Thank you. All right, well, welcome. I'm so excited to share with you guys today about one of my favorite tools to use in the classroom. I use this every single day. It's called Classkick. So we're gonna actually go ahead and start. The first thing that I'm gonna have you do is you're going to get to experience using Classkick as a student would. And then I'm going to help you create your own account and make an assignment. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna switch screens real quick here. And if you could go, and you're going to go to classkick.com. And then once you are here, you're gonna go click on the screen where it says login and student. And I'm going to give you a class code that you can use. So here is our class code. So go ahead and get logged in there. I'm gonna switch screens actually so I can see a little bit better. I'm gonna go over here to view work instead. And I'm gonna put the code up here. So just going to classkick.com, pressing log in as a student, and I can see Rachel, I can see Flores. You can always just use your first name. That way you can kind of do this. So I'm gonna wait for about another minute or two. Okay, so about another 30 seconds or so. I'm gonna go ahead and put the code in the chat, just in case you need it. I'll actually even put the direct link. So if you're sharing with a class in like Google Classroom or something like that, you're able to give them the direct link that's embedded, or you can give them the class code. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to go ahead and do is you're going to kind of go through and look at all the different things. So there's a whole bunch of different slides. I gave you this welcome assignment for you to look at. This is a template that Classkick has of a way that you can do an assignment. And then there's these, as you're going through, there's some like pages that you can kind of experiment along with. So I'm going to give you some time to look through those. And I want to show you while you're doing that, what I can see on my side. So on my side right now, right, I can see where everybody is at. So I can see Brianna is gone to look at slide 3 already. She just currently moved to slide 4. I can kind of see where each person in this session is at. So go ahead and start going through the assignment. If you could go ahead and stop, let me double check which slide I'm going to have you guys stop at. Go ahead and look through until about page 11. Okay, so until about page 11, and I'm going to just monitor kind of on my side. So go ahead and you can see how it looks. You can try to insert some handwriting. Real quick, let me see if I can get Adela. Adela, can you, would you mind going back to slide 4 for me, please? If you can hear me. Or let me see if I can get, let's see. Okay, so Adela, can you go to slide 4 real quick? Thank you. Adela, can you go ahead and write hello on your screen? So you can use a pen tool up here or a text box right here, and go ahead and write hello on your screen. All right, so notice how as she's writing, I can see her work in real time. Okay, so go ahead, go through. I'm going to give us about 5 minutes till about the 12 to kind of play around with the assignment. And if you have questions, there's a place on your side where you can raise your hand. So if you're within there, you can either raise your hand through the Classkick app right here, and you could ask a question, or you can type me a chat message, or feel free to post a question in StreamYard. Okay, so I'm going to just monitor from my screen. See some good animal drawings here. Okay, so I see Rachel has a question on question 7. Okay, you're raising your hand, yep. So I can even give feedback, and I'm gonna go over this once you guys have a chance to look at different things. I'll just kind of monitor if there's people that have questions, so keep just interacting. Okay, so about 2 to 3 more minutes before I'm going to kind of show things from or kind of go over the different features and talk about the benefits all together. I forgot to change my stickers to my new Bitmoji, so I have this older Bitmoji of mine when I had my longer hair. All right, so I'm gonna give you about one more minute. One more minute. And I'll kind of show you where things are at on my side. Oops. All right, about 30 more seconds. Okay. All right, so what you can see here, is that on the teacher side, I can see kind of where everybody is working in real time. So I have a couple different options. So I can either view all of the students' slides in one spot, right? And I can see everybody's work. There's going to be a little black box that'll show you kind of where the student is at. If the student has not viewed a page, so right now Erica has not viewed slide 9. Erica, would you mind going over to slide 9 real quick? Erica, can you go, Miss Campbell, can you go to slide 9 real quick if you can hear me? There you go. So you can see now that she's gone to view that slide, it will then turn from being white to gray. So I can see very easily kind of where students are at all in real time. If I wanted to have some like grading features, I'm also able to make this where I just see like just the thumbnails. So like if you had some auto grading, and I'll kind of show you what that looks like. Oops. I can kind of see, sorry, one second, a little bit of a lag here. I can see where everybody is at. The other option that I have is that I can also just view everybody's work on slide, let's say if I was going to go to slide 11, and I know this just has like a done and done thing, I can view everybody's work on the same page, which I can see a little bit better. There's one of the things that's great about Classkick is not only that you can give kids feedback, but you're also able to, so you're able to write on their screens, or you can give them stickers that can have whatever that you would like to have on them. So when I was doing some of our distance learning things, if I was going to assign breakout rooms, I would kind of quickly just tell kids which breakout room to go to. And that would kind of be like super helpful. If I know what a common mistake is, I might create a sticker where it will just kind of give the student that feedback for what the mistake is going to be. Let's go ahead and I'm going to show you a couple things on the student side. Some people that have been using Classkick for a while don't even know that all these different features exist. So it's very, very easy to use for kids. I've seen kids as young as like kindergarten and pre-kindergarten use it. I use it with my high schoolers. I teach pre-calculus, and so they use this quite frequently. So if you go up into this corner right here where there's those four dots, you will be able to see all of the pages in the assignment. Okay, so the student can see all of the different things. They also have the ability to write, or highlight, and always whenever they're clicking on these, the little options for them will be over here on the side, so if they can change colors. There's a way for them to erase all of their work. There's text boxes where you can create like different like backgrounds. You can change the color of the text and the background. Oh, I can spell hello. As well as there's places for kids to be able to insert links and pictures or record themselves. I know a lot of elementary school teachers, as well as some of our foreign language teachers, will use the audio so that kids can read to them or practice their foreign language skills. There's also an option here where you can ask for help, or the kid can ask to check, as well as down here there's a place where you can chat and just say something like, how do I do this problem? And then the teacher will get a notification on that side. There's also, and I'm going to go ahead and put some feedback on this little screen of mine here. So for mine, I always have a student account, a pretend student account that I use that I call, I just sign in with the username of Z so that it's at the very end. It doesn't get in my way of the work. So if I were to go ahead and write on that student screen, right? Not that you would write like this, but if I were to write and the student is kind of distracted by whatever I wrote, or maybe my sticker is in the way, the student is actually able to remove the handwriting right over here in this portion. Students are also able to export their work to PDF. So that's like a really powerful thing if you're using it for notes and whatnot, but it is something that you would need to be aware of if you're going to use it for testing. And if you're helping a student on their screen, they would be able to see what you're writing privately without anybody else seeing, and they'd also see this little notification that says teacher is helping. All right, so that's kind of the view on the student side. Let me see. Is there any questions? I'm going to pause for just a second, see if there are any questions that we have, and I'll kind of go through here to see if there were questions through the app.
There was one I saw. Could you explain the features between the paid and the free version?
Okay, so if we're in here, I put on, I believe, let me see what page I put it on. So at the very end, because we're going to look at a couple more things down here. If you go to slide 17, I put in some of the different, the Twitter and whatnot. There's also a link right here that says Classkick Basic versus Classkick Pro. And so there's that link for you. One thing for you to know is that it defaults right here to give you the school pricing per year, but you are able to purchase it as a single teacher. That would be right here. So that's the pricing that they have. And basically what a basic teacher account is, the teacher will have 20 students at one, or 20 assignments at one time. Whereas a pro user can have unlimited. So if you create more than 20 assignments, then you would have to delete them to be able to create more if you're going to be using a basic. There's a whole bunch of features that are the same. The major difference is this, pro teachers are able to use portfolios where a student can not have to log in using a class code. They would just log in and see all of their assignments. And there's some folder organization on the teacher side, to be clear. It doesn't work on the student side. And they're able to export student grades, answers, and student work to PDF. So those are the major differences. But the main thing is the unlimited assignments and the student portfolios.
Ms.
Other
Reed,
questions?
anything else?
No, there was one question asked that, is there anything about presenting Classkick available?
So there are some professional development resources. I'll share my my contact information in a minute, and they can just email me personally, and I'll kind of give them more of that specific information. Okay, so if we look through the rest of this assignment, so I want us all to go to, we're going to go to page 12 real quick. So if everybody could go on to slide 12. Okay, and I want you to go ahead and answer this question. So go ahead and answer the question. To be able to click on those boxes that have the little dotted lines, you need to be on a pointer tool, and you can then just type in your answer in there. Okay, so I see I have a couple people that have put their answer up in there. Okay, now you can see, I can see some people showing their work. I can see some answers just appearing. On your side as a student, you cannot see right now if your answers are correct or not. But I have a filter right here where I can show the students their grades, which would then allow the student to be able to see immediately if their answer was correct or not. So if I were to put in here, let's say I thought the answer was 81, right? It'll immediately tell me if my answer is correct or not, if I have that show students their grades thing. This is really powerful because students, first of all, instead of just giving them a key, they actually have to produce something to be able to get feedback on. But this is also immediate feedback in real time where they can actually see if they're correct. I also put over here, there's another example with my son was doing some multiplication using an area model. And of course, there's a whole bunch of, maybe I didn't change the keys on this. Sorry about that. I should have put the little answer keys things in there. But if there's a whole bunch of steps, he would be able to actually see, and it should be auto-correcting whether or not it is correct or not based off of the teacher's responses in there. I'm gonna go over, sorry, one more time. Okay, so I'm gonna make a couple of different recommendations before we go to looking at creating our own teacher account. Here's some recommendations that I have for you if you are working with kids with Classkick on the first day. The first thing is that you want to toggle off student helpers. So I'm gonna show you what student helpers does in a second. Student helpers basically allows you to, for students to be able to go and help each other remotely. And they won't be able to see who is asking for help, but they will be able to jump onto each other's screens. It will not, it will tell you who went to help who, but it will not tell you what they wrote. So that is something that I would recommend at your first use to actually have it turned off. I also recommend showing them your teacher view of the screen so they can actually see that you're able to see everything that they're doing. And kind of using the modeling the student account, kind of like what I did with you guys where I showed you where things are found, and using an assignment that helps them practice common features. So you want them to be able to practice being able to move things around, manipulatives, typing in fill in the blanks. And then with picture orientation, when they're inserting pictures, they're able to kind of flip them around and how to turn things in. So one thing that's kind of confusing sometimes for students when they're using Classkick for the first time is they are used to using things like Google Classroom that they have to press submit for the teacher to be able to receive it. And with Classkick, everything saves immediately. And so making sure that kids know that you're going to be able to see their work and that it's already basically turned in as they're doing it is an important thing. They also, and I'll show you because I forgot to go over two different things here. They also can use the bell to access feedback, and you might want to show them also how to view all the pages, export work, turn off teacher comments, and how to get to the dashboard and messaging. So here, for example, if I were to go back to my student account and if I were to go ahead and give some feedback on this page, let's see real quick. So if I were to give feedback on slide 8 to this student, on the student side, so this is my student account here, I'm gonna see this little notification that I have feedback. So that's like a way that kids can know, and they can click on it immediately to see whatever feedback that you had. Okay, before we go to making a teacher account, is there any questions before we go kind of over there?
Josie asked, can it be embedded into Schoology?
Yes, I use Schoology myself. It can be embedded into Schoology. However, it is it's going to be smaller. And then from what I've understood, the camera does not work if you're embedded in Schoology. So I put the link for the Classkick assignment in Schoology, but then I have them pop the window out over there.
Also, can it be used for like small breakout rooms or small groups?
Mm-hmm. So one thing that I do, if you're wanting students, there's a couple different ways that you can use it for small groups. If you want all of the students to be on the same assignment and be able to share their work, you would have to allow them to, they would have to log in with the same username. So for example, actually in my class on Friday, we were playing a game, and what I had kids do is we went into teams and they all entered whatever their group number is. So like team 1 would just put just a single 1. They have to do it all identical. So if there's a group of students that want to work together, you would just need to make sure that they have the same number. Exactly, spacing has to be the same or it'll create a different account. So that's kind of how that would work.
Okay, another question. Can the students do this asynchronously or does it? Okay.
Yes, so students can do this asynchronously. My students work on it both in class and outside of it. There's nothing preventing them from doing it. I've done it both in classrooms. I've had students use it asynchronously, and as well as I've done it online through Microsoft Teams or Zoom. So you're able to kind of do it multiple different ways. I would, if you are going to have students use it, I would start having them do it synchronously just so that they can kind of know how it works.
Will the assignment that we made here today, will it be saved?
Yes.
Okay.
So we're going to create an assignment. So this assignment, if you want to access this, because I did put some other informations in, you will want to just save this little class link if you're talking about the assignment that I'm sharing with you guys, or save the class code and you can just re-access your work. If you want to get exactly to your page, you're going to have to enter it in exactly the same way. Or if you type it in something different, it's going to create another account. So that's actually an important thing to go over. This is kind of a little much on this screen right here, but when you have student rosters, so when students are going to access, first time that they come in, you can either have student accounts created for them, or they're going to type in their name. But for them to get back to their work, they have to have it exactly the same every time. And so on the roster screen, when you're in there in Classkick later, I'll show you that you can go to where it says lock options, and you're going to want to make it so that no other students can add their name once you are satisfied with the list of names. That's like kind of one of the most frequent errors when kids think that their work did not save, is that the kids signed in multiple ways. Okay. Over here, let me go over a couple more things and I'll pause for questions again. So things for you to think about before you start, because we're about to make some teacher accounts. You would want to think about if you want kids to access their work using a basic account, which means that they would have to have a code for every single assignment, or if you want them to have a portfolio. With a portfolio account, you can give the students the code, but a lot of portfolio teachers just have the kid log into their Classkick account and the student just finds their assignment. Another frequent question is who else will need to access your students' work? So if you have a co-teacher, you may not want to do a Google sign-in. You might want to just share your password. So kind of creating a password that's okay to share with somebody else will be the quickest way for them to be able to access your students' work. Classkick, if you do sign in with Google, you can fill out a form and they will add an extra password to your account so that the person doesn't need to use your Google account. But just as we're about to start creating accounts, you may want to consider whether or not you just want to create a username that you're okay with sharing with a co-teacher and a password that you're okay with sharing with a co-teacher. I also put some different information on here. There's a whole bunch of different things that Classkick has. They have Twitter, Facebook. There's a Facebook group that I usually am pretty active on, but it's been kind of a busy year. There's also some public assignments and some other helpful information. And I gave you the support email. And there's also here the basic versus pro. And then I gave you some, so there's a Classkick blog. They keep this up to date. They've been a little more active here, as well as if you are a new user, this Classkick guide is by this Twitter user, but it's very, very helpful. And it kind of explains a lot of the things very, very clearly, as well as there's a lady named Paige on Twitter that she does Classkick videos every single day, it seems like. And so she'll kind of help with how to make different things. On this last page, before we go to making your own account, because I'm going to have you guys go to a different tab, here's my information. So I'm active on the Facebook group. I also have my Twitter and Instagram. I'm not as much of an Instagram person, but I do have a YouTube channel where I have a whole bunch of different videos about how to do different things in Classkick or different frequent requests. So that's something that you can use just to kind of figure out different features. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and start. We're gonna go ahead and create our own Classkick account. So just going back to, and you can do this in a different tab, going back to classkick.com. And you'll want to go to teacher. And you're gonna wanna you'll press sign up as a teacher. And then you can choose either to sign up with Google, Clever, or with your email. If you are doing something with a co-teacher, again, I do recommend signing up with email. And so I'm going to give you guys a couple minutes to do that, and I'll kind of field questions while you're working on that portion. So if there's questions, I can answer those while they're signing up.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about what we get on questions. This is a really cool tool, and I see this for the first time. How would the end look like after the assignment is done? Is there like a report, or how this is going to be scaled to use it as an
So
assessment?
let me show. I'm gonna pull off my screen real quick, and I'm gonna pull something back on so I can kind of show you some actual student work. Let me see real quick. All right, 1 second. I'm switching to my other account. So this is some of my students' actual work from this last week. So what I can see is I had it where it was doing auto grading, so it would give them points automatically, and I can see it color codes green, orange, or red based off of what percent that they have, and I can see kind of from there. I also, and you can see right now, I went ahead and put the filter on where I hid student names just for their privacy. But even when I'm sharing student work in class, especially if I'm showing like errors, I will sometimes just choose to hide the student name so that they have their privacy. But you are able to see their score right here, and as well as if you have Pro, you can export the student work to PDF if you wanted to, or you can export their grades or even their answers. So for example, those survey questions that I asked before, a lot of times with students, I will, instead of sending them to like a Google form, I'll just have them answer certain questions within here. And I can, if I want to like kind of look at what the actual answers are, I can do it there. So that's kind of how I use it. It does not like automatically, when you export to their grades, you can then import them into like Skyward or whatever grading program, but there's no like direct link that would go over. So, all right. So hopefully where we have, hopefully we're where we can create a different assignment. So when you're going to create assignments, and I'm going to show you what my actual account looks like. So you'll see on my account, because I'm a pro user, I'm going to have folders where I can then just have different things in there. So one thing that's important is just to have some type of organization, because if you end up using it pretty frequently, there's going to be a whole bunch of assignments. I use a numbering system, and I always start either 0, 1, or if it's like a daily assignment, I actually use this with my students every single day in class. So I would number assignments like 001, 002, or for their units like 04.1, 01, so that it kind of stays organized. So you can create a new assignment just by clicking create a new assignment, and it will give you this blank template here. It's important, don't forget to put the name so you can find it. There's so many times that I've forgotten to do that, and then it's kind of hard if once you have a whole bunch, because they'll just all be saying new assignment. You're able to, same features that you kind of used before when you were on that pretend assignment. The one thing that I did want to go over though is that to create manipulatives, things that the student is able to move around, you though on your side they're going to look slightly different. So if I select my file, and I'm going to go ahead and go over to my picture file here. So I have a whole bunch of manipulatives that you also do have access to. They're in my on that other Classkick assignment. So like if I wanted to make some fraction bars or something like this, even though I do high school, I've actually made a whole bunch of these different like resources just for people to use. if I'm creating a manipulative, the way that you can tell that it's a manipulative and has a movable piece is that it's going to have the little same symbol that you have up here that was used to create it. Whereas if I create an image, even if I use the same thing, so if I were to create going like this, and you can just snip just little portions of it, and you can decide if you just want to put it only on one page or multiple. It is going to look the same, but this one is not movable by the student because there's not the little manipulative image, and this one is. If students are not able to move them, it's almost always that they're on like a pointer or a pen tool or something like that instead of a pointer tool. So as you're kind of playing around with inserting different features, any type of PDF can be inserted into Classkick, as well as if you're on the internet somewhere and let's say you had a picture of a cat that you wanted, let's see, images, the normal control copy, control paste works directly into Classkick. So you can insert things really, really easily, copy them over. So it's really, really fast to make things. I know like in Schoology, I know somebody mentioned Schoology earlier, like Schoology, you have to save images before you're able to put them in. With Classkick, you're just able to kind of copy and paste directly back and forth. All right, so we have, I think, only about a little bit less than 10 minutes, so I'll go ahead and take whatever questions that you guys have about making things or any other questions that you have.
Yeah, and just to make sure, Kyra is asking, will this assignment be saved, the assignment they were in, so they can look at it at a later time? So when they use the same code, they can go back in and, okay, good, just to make sure. I didn't want to say.
So and again, and this is why it's going to be important if you do use this with students to lock your roster. The next time that you come in, if you enter your assignment exactly, or if you enter your name exactly the same way, it will take you to your old work. But if you put an extra space or any little type of thing, it's going to create a duplicate account. So if you're just looking to access the assignment, just so you can find those like different links to things that I shared, yes, you'll definitely still have access to that code. If you want to be able to see your exact work that you did before, though, you will need to type your name exactly the same. Sorry, I'm going to tell my son to go out because he's coming in to distract. Other questions?
That since we on the slide that you have breakout rooms, could you? I may have missed that, but can you group students together in so they can work on one of assignment collaboratively?
Yeah. So when I was doing this I just did this review game with my students the other day. So like even when I'm doing like games, what I will do is I'll kind of like cover up the screens that I don't want them to see. So that's why that looks kind of funky. But when I go to view my students' work, and I'm going to go ahead and take off the student names, I just had the students log in using a number. So even though the student, and I used a basic account to do this, and I locked it to make sure that they followed directions, because even though I told them to just put in a number, some of them wrote group 1, which would have created an additional account. So I just locked my roster, which you can, I'll show you how to do in a second. And then every student that put in the number 1 would be on the same page together. And so that's how they kind of can work collaboratively. And it actually worked really, really smooth, because even though we were in person, I'm in person, but we need to have kids in the same exact seating assignment. We can't kind of like have them move around the room. And so I was able to have kids collaborate even across the room and give each other feedback. And they were even just typing questions to each other, trying to figure out how to get help on different things. And it worked very smoothly. I had a lot more class dialogue. Before I forget, I'll show where we can lock the roster. So if you're within your roster, you can go up to the right-hand corner and you'll see this lock options. So lock roster prevents new students from logging in. Okay, so that's once you're good with their names. And then a single device login, I don't usually use. That's like if you think that kids are trying to access the same account at the same time. And I don't know that it works 100% perfectly. And sometimes though, if a kid's like computer dies or something like that, but for some reason they still thinks that they're online, it won't let them on another device. So I don't use that very often. You can also add your student names. There's 2 different types of student accounts as well. There's basic or portfolio, which is confusing because the teacher accounts are called basic or pro. But portfolio, just because you have a pro account doesn't mean that all your students have portfolios. You'd have to sign them up to have portfolios, and I have some videos on how to do that on my YouTube channel that I included over there, or within that assignment. So if you're creating student accounts, especially basic ones, you can just type the names in with a comma at the end, and then you would want to lock your roster so that the kids only get there to that one thing. And that's like one of the biggest things as far as for new users, making sure that you add your students yourself the way that you want their name to appear, and then locking the roster is something that's going to make it much more easy for you to use. Other questions?
Ms. Rivera, anything else?
Nothing else that I see here, because there was a question about rosters, but you just went over it, so.
Okay, so yeah, kind of in conclusion, I know we're kind of at the end. This tool is my favorite thing to use. I've seen kids grow a lot. I was teaching Algebra 1 in Texas, and we have the STAR test, and I saw huge gains every single year since I've been using this. And I think a lot of it is just because kids are able to get so much more feedback on what they're doing, that you're able to put in answers and they can see if they have it correct or not, which is very, very powerful. I can also see if a kid is on task or not on task from across the room. Not only that, I can see what strategies that they're using within the classroom. So like, for example, if I'm wanting kids to understand questions by highlighting key information, I can see across the room that a student is doing that, and I can praise them without having to be right over them. So it's very, very powerful. It gives me information about like what students need help and who even can help them. So I can see, John is at question number 10 and Paul is at 2. So I can either go and try to help Paul at question number 2 myself, or I might even send John over to him. So it's just a very, very, very powerful tool. It's one of it is actually my favorite. And then all the different game things like quizzes and Quizlet and GimKit are the other things that I use a lot in my classroom. But hopefully, if you have any other questions, I'll also give you, or I'll put it on that assignment that I had before. I'll go ahead and put my email address on that last page. And yeah, because I know we're going to get cut off in just a second. So I'll go ahead and put that in there just in case we get cut off before then.
No. So we're here. So while we look for the link or the email, I want to thank you, and I want to thank all on the YouTube side participating. I think that's a really, really cool tool. And we will have another session in about 10 minutes, a repeat of this one, and super cool. So thank you so much. And
really quickly, one person asked if there's an issue with students using it on their phone.
Yeah, it's not, I do have students use it on their phone at times, but there are more frustrations with that. It's best to have it on a computer or a tablet in a Chrome thing. So you can do it on a phone, but a lot of times it gets a little bit harder for them to manipulate the different little pieces.
Yeah, and there's one more question up with Ms. Ramirez. She asked, can we take the rosters? So I'm thinking about the free version. The teacher would create the rosters, correct?
You can create a roster for free or pro teacher. You just won't be able to create portfolio accounts for students if you have the free version, because the portfolio account is only available to pro teachers. It doesn't make it so that they have to have them, but you would have to pay for pro for them to have a portfolio. So.
Okay, so as I put in, the secret word is empower for session 7, and there's one more session. So for the last one, and then hopefully we'll see you next year in person at Davis High School. And so thank you so much, and we're gonna just jump over to the next session. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. Have a great day, you guys.